This is the High-Stakes Lowdown, a RotoViz podcast brought to you by the Fantasy Football Players Championship. I'm Eric Balkman from the High-Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, the Better Sports Network, and the FFPC. You can connect with me on X at Eric Balkman and the FFPC on X at FFPC. Before we get into the show, I want to remind everyone that you can get a listeners-only 10% discount to RotoViz by using the code RVRadio2025. That's RV Radio 2025. Your subscription gives you unlimited access to all of the RotoViz content and tools, and it supports the podcast channel as well. Now, without further ado, here's the latest episode of the RotoViz High-Stakes Lowdown. Welcome into the madness that is March, ladies and gentlemen. It is the RotoViz High-Stakes Lowdown, and my name is Eric Balkman. You can connect with me on X at Eric Balkman, EricBalkman. Of course, you know me from the High-Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, the new High-Stakes Fantasy Football Hour spinoff podcast called Extra Reps. Of course, the FFPC Insider Access Show, as well as the Fantasy Football Players Championship. Want to remind everybody that we do have a fresh batch of FFPC Dynasty and Empire Dynasty Orphans available now at myffpc.com. Why do we have some? Well, the deadline to renew passed this weekend, and many people decided to orphan their teams, some of them pretty good. And a lot of them you can get really, really good deals on from the 500, the 750s on up, including some 77s and 100s. We just been selling a lot of 250s today as well. So there's plenty of good teams out there in need of good homes. Get them now, myffpc.com/dynasty for sale. Remember, those prices normally go anywhere from $77,000 to $5,000. Right now, you can get a bunch of them as little as $1. The FFPC Never-Too-Early Best Ball and Never-Too-Early Superflex Best Ball tournaments are probably going to be talked about quite a bit on tonight's show. You can register for those right now. The Never-Too-Early Best Ball tournament features a $40,000 grand prize at just $125 for the entry fee. $35 is what it costs you to get into the Superflex one, and you're still eligible for a $10,000 grand prize. We do, of course, have the FFPC Big Gorilla drafts going on right now. $350 to enter that, $1 million grand prize. 7 Bananas is live again for the second straight year, and the Early Rampage tournament going on right now. So when you join a Big Gorilla, you are basically being entered into one tournament free of charge where you can win $25,000. Hurry up, though, because only the first 200 leagues will be included in the FFPC Big Gorilla Early Rampage tournament. Of course, the Baby Gorilla live this year for the first time, $125 entry fee, a $100,000 grand prize. So if you want to play high-stakes fantasy football, this is your perfect entry point into it with the Baby Gorilla. Register for those and more at myffpc.com. That's myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. I will have the schedule of shows. We got a huge week with the FFPC family of podcasts. I'll tell you everything what's going on at the end of the show. I want to bring in tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen. You know him as the 6th place finisher in the 2024 FFPC Never-Too-Early Best Ball Tournament. He's won dozens, maybe even more than 100 FFPC leagues over the course of his career here. He is here tonight to talk about how his drafts have been going so far this year. Please welcome on to the RotoViz High-Stakes Lowdown, Mr. Frank Nunes. Frank, welcome in, man. Happy March. Can you believe it's March already? It's like, what are we, like 6 months away from the start of the season?
I can't wait. I wish it was 6 days away.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I can't wait. Time's changing this weekend, and we're springing forward and looking forward to the fall.
What is it about? I mean, like, how does the end of the season where, I mean, we just had the Super Bowl 3 weeks ago, but I know we had drafts going on before that. At what point are you already in draft mode for the next season? Because I know you've been drafting for a while now.
You know, I did the playoff challenge, and then you watch the playoffs, and then once they go live and they add the college players in the player library, I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm usually late January, you know, at least stick my toe in the water, and I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm excited.
And I think that the great thing about it too, and I say this to people all the time, like, you know, especially with the Early Rampage tournament and the Never-Too-Early tournaments that we have going on, the values that you get on players right now, we'll sit back and we'll still be talking drafting in late August and early September, or whatever it is. But we'll sit back and look like, I can't believe these people were drafting this player at this spot. How did they get him so late? But it happens every year. And the ADP, as you have seen personally, it changes so much over the course of drafting season. But right now, this is the time to get the values.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you start drafting and then they have the combine and, some guy runs really fast or jumps really high and that changes ADP, and next week's free agency, that'll change ADP. And then we have the draft that changes ADP. And then once games start, preseason games, and then some guy will do good in preseason, or you get them blurbs from the beat writers and that changes ADP. So that it changes several times during the off season.
So I want to get into it tonight with you, Frank, because you are one of the, I don't want to say rare, but the select few compared to how many people draft in the FFPC over the course of, the entire summer. Just a fraction of our database has been activated so far. I should say, it's a large fraction, but it's not anywhere near compared to what people are doing in August and September. I want to get your take sort of on not only the news going around the NFL, but how you feel about certain players tonight. We will be getting into, for the viewers out there, we'll talk about that Patriots backfield. I want to talk about the Parker Washington hype going on right now, and we'll get into some of my Packers receivers here tonight as well. So I want to lead things off with the big news of, the last 24 hours or so, 36 hours. David Montgomery gets shipped from Detroit down to Houston. It looks like he is going to be the lead back there, or at least pairing with Woody Marks to form the tandem for the Texans in 2026. How does Montgomery leaving Detroit and now becoming a Texan affect the way that you're attacking him, or maybe avoiding him in the Never-Too-Early Best Ball Tournament, Frank?
I think it helps him. I mean, there's just Woody Marks there. I think Joe Mixon is done. So I can only help David Montgomery. So, I really haven't had too many shares of him so far. I'm not even sure if I have a share. But, he's definitely going to be on the radar now. With him being when he plays, he's pretty good. So, he wasn't as good last year. The combo, I liked Gibbs a lot, but I think it's got to – I expect him to rise in his ADP, and I'm already seeing that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at Mojo right now, fantasymojo.com, at FantasyMojo on X. The guy who runs it is Darren Armani. He also is the godfather of FFPC Pros versus Joe's Challenge. If you are playing the FFPC, viewers, highly recommend you get a subscription to fantasymojo.com, not only for the ADP, but for the waiver wire stuff that he does during the season. It's awesome. The stack finder, everything. David Montgomery, Frank, running back 36 is what I'm showing. At the 909 in the FFPC Never-Too-Early Best Ball Tournament. However, since the trade, we have seen him go as high as the 703. So he's obviously not going to go off as running back 36. And I think the thing we have to kind of figure out here, and I think you just kind of weighed in on it, he's going to a lesser offense, a less explosive offense, an offense that maybe has more questions on the offensive line than Detroit does. However, when you look at what he's going to, he doesn't have to deal with Jahmyr Gibbs anymore, right? He doesn't have to deal with all these great pass catchers that Detroit has. You can make the case that he could be the focal point of this offense, including, maybe not with, Nico Collins is there, obviously. But, Collins, Higgins, Knoll, definitely different than St. Brown, Laporta, and Jamison Williams. So, but I think you kind of answered it. Maybe the opportunities for scoring go down, but the volume should go up, and that makes him maybe more of a buy than he was 36 hours ago.
Yeah, Joe Mixon in 2024 was pretty good in Houston. I know the offensive line is different, and Stroud's kind of maybe took a step back, but Woody Marks was, the rookie running back crowd wasn't very good last year, and he was one of the better ones. The Caleb Johnson was horrible. Ashton Genty, wasn't the value where he drafted him. It was kind of an odd year for, Travion Henderson was good, but didn't play all the time. It was kind of a weird year for rookie running.
Omari Hampton was hurt, right?
Oh, hurt half the year. And he was kind of splitting time till Najee blew his Achilles. I mean, so it took an injury for him to get on the field, and then he got injured. So, I mean, Woody Marks was okay. I mean, he was decent at the end of the year. And so I think that's going to help David Montgomery. I mean, even though the offensive line isn't as good as it is in Detroit, but I mean, you need opportunities, you need the ball. And I mean, he's going to get the ball there. Yeah. And they gave up they didn't, it's not like they gave a 7th round pick. They traded, a couple picks for him and an offensive lineman. So they must like him.
Yeah, it's clear that they do. I was surprised. And I think, the reporting we saw on, or at least that I saw on X, was that some other team tried to come in last second to top the Texans offer. And then the Texans came up on top of them, giving up an offensive lineman and Juice Scruggs, a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick. That's not nothing. And certainly, when you see his new team giving up that many assets, that much capital, it kind of shows you how they truly believe about this player. By the way, Derek Greer, former guest of this show, chiming in right now on YouTube. David Montgomery going 4-11 today, and our good buddy Farrell Elliott is the one who took him at 4-11. So Farrell is definitely drinking the David Montgomery Kool-Aid. We'll have to talk about that with Farrell on tomorrow night's High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour for sure. All right, let's move on. You mentioned TreVeyon Henderson. Let's talk about him here, Frank, because we saw last year it took him a while. And he did flash when he was getting the ball. He was really good. The problem was down the stretch last year, we saw Ramondre Stevenson sort of take that backfield back. And yet FFPC drafters right now in the Never-Too-Early tournament have Henderson going as running back 20 at the 407, Stevenson going as running back 27 at the 706. Things have tightened up a little bit, but it's still 3 rounds different. So if you want the younger, more dynamic player in Henderson, you got to pay the mid-4th round pick. If you're not willing to pay sticker price on Henderson, you can get the presumed or maybe a possible starter in Ramondre Stevenson 3 rounds later. Frank, how do you feel about this? Which Patriots running back is more likely to be on your squads this year?
It's probably Ramondre. I mean, with the value, the 2-3 rounds later, I'm taking Ramondre. I mean, I get it in the best balls, the spikes from TreVeyon, the 30-point games, the 25-point games, the 2 touchdowns, the 60-yard TDs. I get it. But, in a lineup league, I mean, I would definitely draft Ramondre before TreVeyon. I mean, I just think, Vrabel's there, the same coach in the playoffs, Ramondre played more of the time. I mean, the Patriots weren't very good in the snow game and Denver, nor were they very good in the Super Bowl. But Ramondre was getting the carries. I mean, even though he fumbled and we thought, okay, I have TreVeyon. I drafted him. I was hoping he would take over. But, I mean, Vrabel won 14 games or 13 games. I mean, you can't argue with his success. And I think the more value is Ramondre. But, I mean, I'm drafting TreVeyon, like I say, because the spike weeks and the best balls, with the total points league, I like that. But, I mean, probably I'm going to end up with a lot more shares of Ramondre than TreVeyon.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Everything you're saying makes sense. I will bring this up, Frank, just to get your sort of point of view on this. I think part of the reason not that I was down on Henderson last year, because I did draft him in a good amount of spots. But I think part of the reason I stayed a little bit away from going hog wild on him was because of Vrabel. Was because of McDaniels, like 2 guys that just don't see, unless you are a special rookie, they usually don't play you your rookie year a whole lot. And while I think Henderson is special, he wasn't that upper echelon, type talent. But now year 2, man, I don't know if the switch gets flipped or the flip gets switched, so to speak, with Henderson, where Vrabel and McDaniels start treating this guy as like, okay, he paid his dues last year. Now he's a veteran. He's not a rookie anymore. And now maybe they let him loose a little bit. I don't know if that's what the FFPC players are thinking, drafting him 3 rounds ahead of Stevenson, but certainly that is a possible outcome here, that Henderson gets on the field more simply because Vrabel and McDaniels know he's not a rookie. As stupid as that sounds, Frank, that could be in play.
Yeah, because I totally agree with that. But last year there was a little stretch, and I'm drawing a blank on the other running back. He was getting goal line carries before TreVeyon. He got hurt. Antonio Gibson, right. It was more like Ramondre number 1, Antonio number 2. And then
Right.
Trevion was barely seeing the field. I mean, you're getting some, you couldn't start him in a lineup league. But now, Antonio's gone and Trevion proved he was good and he could catch the ball. So, I mean, you almost, if you draft them both, you almost hope one gets hurt. So, in a lineup league, you can just start the right guy. I mean, that's the best case scenario, but that doesn't always happen.
I think that's why, I mean, Stevenson is intriguing to me, not necessarily because he's this big game breaking special talent, but because if anything were to happen to Henderson, Stevenson's not only getting first and second down, he's getting third down. He's getting goal line. He's getting everything at that point. And maybe, again, it's all about windows, right? Maybe that only lasts two or 3 weeks or whatever it is. But you know what? It lasted for 2 or 3 weeks with Henderson last year when Stevenson was hurt, and it was great for Henderson owners. So there is something to be said for that. I think in a closed 12-team league, I'd be down with having both of them on my squad because, well, I mean, I don't know, two Patriots running backs in the first 7 rounds, that might be a little bit rich. But I'll tell you what, in like the Never-Too-Early tournament, I want one or the other, and just hopefully the chips fall where they may. And when that money is being doled out at the end, hopefully, if you're drafting in that, you hope to have one of those guys, and that's the guy who gets hot at the end of the season. That's another way to look at it too.
Yeah, agree. I mean, I think they're both startable in lineup leagues. I mean, they got, Ramondre is going to get more touches, but then Trevion has the chance to go 60 yards and, save a day where all of a sudden he's got 12 points, and 6-point touchdown and 60 yards. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not staying away from either one. I like them both. But, I mean, if you ask me for value, I probably prefer Ramondre's value a little bit. Now, if that pinches up more or gets a little closer, then maybe I switch over. But right now, as of today, I'd probably prefer Ramondre's value over Trevion's.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Yep.
And when I say 100%, I mean with the shrinking distance between those two. I mean, it feels like it wasn't that long ago when there was 4 rounds separating them. Now all of a sudden we're down 3 rounds separating them. So yeah, it's going to be at some point Henderson will be the guy for me, but right now it is Stevenson for me as well. Let's talk rookie running backs, Frank, specifically Jadarian Price, the guy who was the other Notre Dame running back last year behind Jeremiah Love. He had a so-so combine. I wouldn't say it was bad. It definitely was not bad, but he didn't wow us. He wasn't unbelievable. And maybe we weren't expecting him to be this athletic freak at the combine. At least I wasn't. But I do know that there will be people disappointed that he didn't show out at the combine the way some people were hoping he would. And in a class, a running back class this year, that's sort of Love and then everybody else, it's easy for people to get hyped up over a guy like Mike Washington, who did blow up the combine, who was great. Or, Emmett, I know there's some Emmett Johnson people. I know he didn't have the greatest combine either, but I know there's definitely people on him. And when you're talking about, running backs 2 through 7 or 2 through 8, where they're kind of, all on the same plane, Price is probably going to fall a little bit. Running back 29 is where I'm seeing him right now at the 801. That's right behind Bashal Tutin. It's right ahead of Tony Pollard and Chuba Hubbard. Are you more likely, if we do see a dip for Price, a post-NFL Combine dip, are you more likely to buy on him, or is he still a guy that you'll just take him here or there? You're not targeting him, but you're not necessarily fading him either.
Yeah, let me put this. I'm a Notre Dame fan. So I'm a little bit biased. I thought he was very good. The opportunities he got in Notre Dame, he returned some kicks. He didn't have the best, combine, like you said, but the guy you also mentioned last year, probably the best rookie running back combine was Tutin. And, he didn't really pan out. I don't know. I mean, obviously Mike Washington's a big winner in the combine for the running back situation. I'll draft Jadarian. I think the right situation, in a best ball situation, I think he's going to be okay. I'm glad his value's dropped a little bit. You get him, maybe a round and a half less. So I like that.
You watched Notre Dame. There is this narrative that Jadarian Price can't catch the ball. And I always say this too, that just because your college team doesn't throw you the ball doesn't mean you can't catch. I thought he looked good in the gauntlet at the combine. Like the chops are there. Do you believe that he has the capability to be catching 30, 40 passes a year in the NFL?
Absolutely. 100%. No hesitation on that. Yeah. I think he's totally fine on that aspect.
I want to wrap up the running back conversation with Kyle Monangai here. We have free agency coming up in a little over a week. And the thing I haven't really heard much about Swift being a cap casualty or a guy that they're going to move on from. So I think he's going to be on the team this year. That said, there's a non-zero chance of anything. And what makes it so lucrative for Monangai is if Swift is released, he would be the guy, at least until Chicago drafts or signs somebody else here. I noticed on your teams, you do have Monangai on a healthy amount of them. What about Monangai? Maybe it's something I already mentioned, but what about Monangai has you sold on him being a guy that you want to be in business with in 2026?
I thought he started out, fairly slowly with, Swift was getting most of the action. But I thought he was very good when he got opportunities. It was like I had Swift on more teams last year. So when I saw Monangai get in there, I was hoping he failed, but he didn't fail. He was good. So, he passed my eyeball test. Like you said, there's a chance, Swift before he got to Chicago wasn't always the most healthiest guy, would be great for 3-4 games, then get hurt, miss 3-4 games. So I guess maybe that's still in the back of my mind about Swift. So, I'm all in on I can't even say his name, but I'm all in on Monangai. I think he's good. I think it's the same coach, Ben Johnson, another year. That team was phenomenal with the offense that, Caleb Williams, all them, maybe DJ Moore didn't have the best year, but everybody else, Loveland came on strong. Burden's coming on strong. Odunze was good. Both running backs were good. I have no problem drafting Bears.
The thing I will say about Chicago, and it was kind of in the news today, and they got to figure out something at center now. Shockingly,
oh yeah, they got shockingly retired.
Yeah, Drew Dahlman,
27 years old.
27. One of their big prize free agents from last year plays 1 year and decides to hang it up at a super young age. Now, I did see on X that Drew Dahlman's father was either like a high school or a college coach or something. Okay. And he's been around a lot of players, like former players, and he sees the toll that it had taken on these players, professional football. Now, that was one person's opinion. I'm speculating too when I say, maybe he just wants to make sure, he's got his money, or at least a good amount of money, and he wants to live a quasi-normal life. Good on him, and I don't know what's going on there, but I do know that the Bears have a gaping hole at center now. And Dahlman was pretty good last year.
Yeah.
And in order to get the quarterback of the offensive line right, you got to get that center right. He is the quarterback of the offensive line. So I'll be watching. I think we're all going to be watching to see what they do at center, because and you mentioned this, Frank, with how good that Bears offense was in year one. With Ben Johnson, with all these players on there, man, we're super excited to see what they can do in year two. But the center position is going to be crucial.
Yeah, if they sign the guy from the Ravens, the Linderbaum, Bloom, they're fine. We're good to go, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta look. I gotta look at, because I think I butchered his name. Linderbaum, Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah.
And I know the Ravens are trying to keep him, but
right.
He could just be. There's so many people that could use a center like him. He is fantastic. So yeah, that's the sweepstakes will be on here in about 8 days. All right, good healthy amount of receivers I want to pick your brain about tonight, Frank, and I'll lead it off with Parker Washington. Jacksonville is going to be, at least the receivers. No, not even the receivers. I just think the offense in general is going to be a fun offense to watch here, to see what they do personnel wise. To set it up, you have Travis Hunter playing, or at least reportedly last month, probably going to be playing more defense than offense this year. We know that Jacoby Myers not only was a trade target of theirs, but they got him and then they extended his contract. Brian Thomas Jr. is still there, third year of his rookie deal. Blew up in 2024, had some issues last year in 2025. And then Parker Washington, who has been great, especially last year. And Trevor Lawrence has been talking him up as well. Throw in Brenton Strange into the equation as well, a young and up-and-coming tight end. And knowing that the running back situation, the ground game could be very different this year. If Travis Etienne moves on, we could be looking at a second-year guy in Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen. Tank Bigsby is obviously was traded to the Eagles last year, too, so they don't have him. So it could be a weird backfield of Tutin and Allen. We don't know how much we can count on them, but what we can count on is what we saw with our own eyes last year. And that was Myers being very good. And it was Strange being very good when he was healthy. And it was Parker Washington being very, very good out there. I want to ask you, Frank, when we look at the ADP with Parker Washington right now in the FFPC Never-Too-Early tournament, we have seen that he's moved up to wide receiver 38 at the 803. He's behind Jordan Tyson and Michael Wilson. He is ahead of his real-life teammate, Jacoby Myers, and the prize of the free agent wide receiver class, Alec Pierce. Parker Washington at the 803. In your opinion, how warranted is this hype for P-Wash, and have you been buying into it?
I think it's fine. I've been buying a lot of Parker Washington. I love the guy. It's the same coach, the same quarterback, the same tight end. Now, you're right about the Travis Etienne deal. Now, how does that affect the passing game? But when I'm drafting this early, I'm drafting guys that with a lot. I tend to favor guys with the same coach, same offensive strategy, knowing that coach likes that player or that quarterback likes that player. And Parker Washington was phenomenal the last 4 or 5 weeks, was very good in the playoffs. He passed my eyeball test. I'm all in on Parker Washington. I drafted him the first wide receiver before Brian Thomas. I thought Brian Thomas was phenomenal in 2024.
Yeah.
You tell me, like a year and a half later and he's kind of questionable, I'd have never believed that. But I don't know. I don't draft very much Brian Thomas this year. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if he doesn't block or he doesn't sleeps in team meetings. I don't know what the deal is, but somehow Liam Cohen didn't get the best out of Brian Thomas and he got the best out of Parker Washington, and Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence, they're still there. So sign me up for Parker Washington.
If Thomas is going nearly 2 full rounds ahead of Washington, he is going more than 2 rounds ahead of Jacoby Myers. So even though the offense seems to be leaning, to your point, towards Washington and Myers, there are still plenty of people that maybe they just don't want to pass up on the talent and what they saw in 2024 with Thomas. You could make a fairly convincing argument that Thomas's ceiling is higher than Washington or Myers. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Yeah. But I think you could probably argue that, and I'd agree with you if you argue it properly. The one thing I want to focus on here is what you just said about drafting players that have consistency, right? The same quarterback, same offense, same OC, same head coach. Like, I think that not only is that good advice for people drafting in February and March here, that's good advice in August and September, right? Because how many times have we seen either a new coach or a new OC or a new offense come in, and there is some growing pains? Maybe it doesn't last the whole season, but, first 4, 5, 6 games or whatever, the offense isn't clicking yet because these guys are trying to get timing down. They're trying to get concepts down. Conversely, what about a free agent wide receiver moving on to a different team that already has an established quarterback, OC, offense, head coach, whatever? He's got to adjust to that as well. So it's this consistency, and maybe this is more true of receivers than any other position. I don't know, maybe tight end as well. But I think, Frank, that's really good advice, whether you're drafting early, middle of the season, late in the season. I just feel like we have a pretty good track record of drafting players like that.
Yeah, coaches bring players they like, and as far as a new coach, if he drafts a guy, then I don't mind drafting that guy. But if he's stuck with a guy that was, has a big contract, then those guys I kind of not sure what's going to happen. Like Brian Thomas wasn't very good at all last year, and that's kind of the opposite of like a guy like Ladd McConkey. He didn't have a very good year, but he had the same coach, the same quarterback. That's a guy I'm trying to figure out this year.
Yeah.
What happened to Ladd? Q was better than Ladd last year. And the year before, Ladd was lights out. And that was the same coach, the same everything. And that he failed that test in my book. I don't know what happened there.
And now we have the new OC in Mike McDaniel.
Right. He's a wild card. I mean, which is
we really don't know.
You really don't know. You're exactly right.
There's and you mentioned being stuck with somebody on a big contract. The first guy that popped into my head, DJ Moore, and look what his season was like last year. Wasn't all that great. With Ben Johnson. And he's a guy that could be moved before the start of the season as well.
There's a history of like wide receivers that move on. Not a lot of them really do very well. I mean,
especially year one.
Yeah, who was last year? Like Josh Palmer? No. I mean, he was no good. I mean, he was a big signing by the Buffalo Bills. I don't know who else. Debo was okay, I guess. That was kind of a trade. I don't know. I mean, wide receivers don't seem to have as much success as that. One year we had great success was Josh Jacobs moved to the Raiders to the Packers, and Derrick Henry moved. But wide receivers don't seem to have as much success that I have seen, and I don't have the stats. But
I'll give you a few examples here, and I'll just say this:
George Pickens was great.
Pickens was good. He was very good.
Very good.
Now, typically NFL teams do not like to part ways with difference makers and players that can help them win games. So if you're seeing a player move from one team or to the other, it's probably because his existing team believes that what they're getting back is better than what they already have. Some of the guys that moved last year, you had Devontae Adams going from the Jets to the Rams. He was very good. That was, and obviously he got hurt a little bit towards the end of the season. He was very good. Keenan Allen, I think, had a resurgent year. The Chargers. Diggs was okay. I think he did top 1,000 yards. But then you look at some of these older guys. You mentioned Josh Palmer, DeAndre Hopkins, Chiefs to Baltimore.
Nothing.
Cooper Kupp, Rams to Seattle. We had to wait most of the season until the Super Bowl to see anything there, really. And then Tyler Lockett, super old guy, goes to the Seahawks to the Titans. There was nothing there. You mentioned Deebo Samuel, obviously, and Pickens was another one. And, Thielen was just super old. There's not much left there.
DK was no good.
He really struggled as well.
And they gave him a bunch of money. They traded for him.
We could bring up Jacoby Myers as well. I mean, that was a little bit more seamless. And then Rashid Shaheed was good when they threw to him.
Right.
But, he just, for whatever reason, was not really a fantasy difference maker at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about, speaking of new head coaches, Joe Brady is the new man in Buffalo. And he was talking at, I believe, the Combine about utilizing Khalil Shakir this year. Mm-hmm. He wants him inside. He wants him outside. He wants to move them all over. And this is a team that's really been starved for wide receivers. And we don't know what Brandon Beane is going to do with that position this year via the trade option, via the draft option, via the free agent option. But as it stands right now, Joe Brady, and granted, he was talking up Keon Coleman as well, but he's really talking up Khalil Shakir. And Shakir, as it stands right now, is the most productive player in the wide receiver room for the Buffalo Bills. Now that could change as I know there's AJ Brown rumors and other stuff out there right now, but as it stands right now, Shakir has been the best receiver for the Bills. He is the first Bills receiver being drafted right now, wide receiver 49 on average at the 1202. Are you buying in to what Brady's been saying about wanting to utilize Shakir a little bit more, or do you view that more as like coach speak and just trying to like drum up his player and pump up his player?
I like Shakir. I mean, I think Joe Brady's a little bit of coach speak. But I think Shakir at a PPR is fine. He seems to be their most targeted guy, gets touchdowns. He kind of gets some yardage after catch. I'm fine now. If they go out and sign Dobbs and, I've heard Romeo Dobbs might go there, or AJ Brown might go there, or Shaheed might go there. It might, and then also Brady's talked up Keon Coleman, which was an absolute disaster last year. So I don't know when it all shakes out. I mean, today I'm drafting Shakir easily, but in 3 or in 5 weeks when the NFL draft comes around and free agency next week, I might change my mind. But I mean, I like Shakir. I think he's good. He gets targets. Allen seems to like him. I'm in on Shakir.
Shakir right now, I mentioned the ADP. I'll just tell you that going around that same spot is Juwan Jennings, who's a free agent. Xavier Worthy, who is going basically 2 spots behind Shakir.
Right.
Those are really the only 3 guys. Then Addison is going about a round and a half before him. Jaden Reed and Jaden Higgins are going about a round after him right now. We mentioned Reed just now. I have to ask you, because I noticed, and God bless you, Frank, you're drafting Packers. Whether that's the right move or not, I don't know, but a smart guy like you drafting my Green Bay Packers, I love to see it. I noticed Jaden Reed and Christian Watson have infiltrated their way on several of your rosters so far that you've drafted this year. What's the reason for scooping these 2 Packers specifically up this year?
I haven't been a big fan of Watson in the past. I mean, he's always been hurt, flashes a little bit, but he gets hurt too often. And then last year he came back. A lot of best balls early, you could have drafted Watson. He went undrafted because, he's coming off a late ACL tear. I thought when he played, he was very good. He seemed to be – Jordan Love likes to throw the deep ball to him. He was catching touchdowns. He stayed relatively healthy. I don't know if that changes his diet or his training. I thought he was good. So, sign me up for Christian Watson. I think Dobbs is leaving, so – someone has to catch the ball there, and Reed's been pretty good. Now he got hurt last year. So, Kraft's coming off an injury. Reed's coming off an injury. I just think it's going to be Watson and Reed unless they go out and draft someone. And I in a best ball, I throw in a Matt Golden every once in a while. They spent a lot of capital on him, and he had a pretty good playoff game. So maybe he's going to second year in. We used to always say wide receivers wait till year 3. And then we had some phenomenal years where rookie wide receivers, and we just all of a sudden forgot. And then, now we want immediate results from them, and it doesn't happen. So, Golden will be a second year, so we'll see how that goes. But I think Reed's good. I think when he gets the ball, they throw that little slant to him, and he kind of runs up the middle of the field. That's why I'm drafting Reed and Watson, and I think I get value on Reed. I'm not sure where he goes, what wide receiver he goes, but he's late.
The ADP I'm showing in Jaden Reed right now is pretty late. Wide receiver 51, not even drafted as a top 50 receiver at the 1209. Part of that is because he's not on the field as much as Watson and Dobbs were last year. Dobbs to me is complete. It's foregone conclusion that he's gone. I can't imagine Green Bay bringing him back. And we have seen rookie receivers come on at the end of year 1 recently. We didn't necessarily see that with Golden, except as you pointed out, until that Bears playoff game where he really, came into his own then. So we'll see some Golden spike weeks. The thing is, and Kraft is kind of the wild card because he was their best playmaker. I know he's shooting for week 1, but just because he's available week 1 doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see, you know, Tucker Kraft in capital letters the way we saw him pre-injury. Maybe it takes the 2026 season before, he's sort of like back to being what he was. And I don't know, maybe he'll be great this year. It
was phenomenal last year till the injury. He was
right.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. But coming off an ACL, some guys seem to respond, and some guys like Brandon Ayuk don't even play. It's kind of hard to, when you're drafting these guys this early, you got to kind of make a decision on them.
So Rubio points this out. I'm going to post this in the chat because I wanted to bring this up. Not that I'm a big Christian Watson truther, but I got in a conversation with Kamish Bryce about this today, about Watson's injury. And while he was hurt quite a bit his first 2 years in the league, at this point, Green Bay sent him to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, along with Eric Stokes, to kind of find out why they were having all these soft tissue injuries. And what they found out with Watson was that I think it was a quadriceps. One of them was like 2% stronger than the other. And he was constantly compensating. Thank you, Frank. Compensating for that weaker leg, and it was getting hurt. So they got him on proper treatment, and he has now, while he's been on the injury report with soft tissue stuff since then, he's not missed a game since then.
Right.
The only games he's missed since then was what you said, when he tore that ACL.
Right.
He only played in 10 games last year because he was coming back from that week 18 ACL tear against Chicago last year. So I'd like to think it's behind him. You never know. But certainly it's been very good what we've seen so far. And I think the great thing about Watson is, and I know that Reed had missed most of the season and Kraft was out, but Green Bay really, I mean, if they've ever looked at treating a guy as a number one receiver since Davante Adams left, it was how they treated Watson down the stretch last year. And it gives you hope for
I agree.
in the fantasy this year. Frank, I didn't even bring this up, but Christian Watson's ADP right now, as I look at fantasymojo.com, he is going at wide receiver 31, so quite a bit higher than Jaden Reed. Wide receiver 31 at the 6'11". And you look at that glut of receivers right there, BTJ, Sutton, Evans, Carnell Tate, and Odunze. Christian Watson's going last among that group of six, as it were. And you're on board with the late 6th round value right now.
Yeah, I mean, of those guys you said, I mean, I still like Odunze and probably Watson of those guys. I know Luther Burden's getting drafted ahead based on, the late part, but I mean, if I have to draft a Bears wide receiver, I'm probably drafting Odunze first. I thought he was pretty good. And I like Watson. You said Boston, the rookie. Not sure where he's.
No, sorry. Carnell Tate was.
Carnell Tate. He didn't have the best combine. So I'm not sure where, I mean, Ohio State, they have a history of having good wide receivers, but we'll see on that. But I mean, I'm all in on Watson right now.
The Watson makes perfect sense there. And I always say with the caveat, Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, they designed the offense to spread the ball around, but Watson was a little bit different last year. Maybe make the exception for him right now.
And Love like to throw the ball deep, and they tend to feature Watson on those deep balls.
If you and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know there were so many deep ball stats over the course of the last year or two. And Jordan Love consistently, whether Watson was out there or not, consistently was one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL for throwing the ball downfield. Loves to do it. And when you have a guy like Watson that can really flip the field and has made plays, it's not like you're just throwing it up and YOLO passes or whatever. Right. Watson does come down with them.
He does.
Time. Okay, we mentioned A.J. Brown earlier, and I think the situation right now, it's a little bit nebulous in Philadelphia. We don't know exactly what's going on behind closed doors. We have not really seen, maybe A.J. Brown has, but I've not really seen a resounding commitment from the Eagles verbally from Howie Roseman or Nick Sirianni or anybody there that look, 100% this guy's coming back. We want this guy back, which to me, if you say that, it's the quickest way to quell all these rumors about him being moved. So to me, there's some smoke there. And where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Now, I'm not saying Brown gets moved here, but I do know that there's a decent possibility that he does. I think was a Graziano from ESPN listed him as he thought it was to be a 60% shot of A.J. Brown not being an Eagle next year. And that means, if you simulate the season, more often than not, Brown is not in Philadelphia. And to me, that means, and we heard, I think it was Zach Berman from The Athletic, who covers the Eagles, said that he believes that there's a belief within the organization that there's so much more that they can get out of Devonta Smith. He just needs the opportunity. And if that's the case and Brown is gone, are we letting Devonta Smith slip too far? In FFPC Never-Too-Early Best Ball tournaments right now, currently I'm showing his ADP as wide receiver 21 at the 504. But I'm telling you, Frank, and I'll get your opinion on this as well. If A.J. Brown gets moved and Smith becomes the number one, that ADP is shooting up.
I totally agree, especially, too, if Goddard leaves, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're talking about Goddard, and now I heard some rumblings today they're trying to sign him back, but last week they said he was gone for sure. But yeah, I mean, they don't really have another option. I mean, they brought in Jawan Dotson. I mean, maybe they draft someone, maybe they sign someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, you will be getting, if you're drafting Devontae Smith today and AJ Brown leaves, you're definitely getting value on Devontae Smith. I mean, his ADP is going to skyrocket.
He is right now going behind Jamison Williams, Zay Flowers, Lad McConkey, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins. I think if A.J. Brown gets moved, you can make a pretty strong case that Devontae Smith shoots up ahead of all those guys. Maybe not T. Higgins.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say T. Higgins has Burrow, and they seem to get that worked out, even though there's two great guys there. But all the other guys, I mean, Garrett Wilson, we don't even know who the quarterback is there. I mean, who else? Lad McConkey, he was kind of disappointing last year. So yeah, sign me up for Devontae. I mean, I would probably put T. Higgins and then Devontae Smith in that group of guys.
You're looking, and by the way, the guy right above T. Higgins is AJ Brown, and depending upon where he goes,
right.
Smith could be drafted ahead of AJ Brown then at that point. So you're talking about, a full round and a half jump up the ADP for Smith if he is the number one in Philadelphia, if AJ Brown does get moved. So that's a situation to be watching. And maybe the best advice we can impart here tonight that Frank and I can impart is if you're staring Devonta Smith in the face and you're not really sure, should it be him or Jameson Williams, him or Jalen Waddle, or something like that, maybe start breaking ties in favor of Devonta Smith to see what happens there.
I mean, I can make an argument Devontae Smith will be number one. I don't think I can make any argument whatsoever at this time that Jameson Williams will be the number one wide receiver in Detroit.
Excellent point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think T. Higgins is going to be number one. Now, Garrett Wilson could be number one, but who's that quarterback? That offense was same coach, different OC, but I mean, is that offense going to be better? I mean, they got a lot of work to be done, especially if Breece Hall leaves, and he's coming off an injury.
Yes, he is. Yeah. They shut him down last year in the hopes he'd be ready, and maybe he will be ready. I don't know, but you're right. I mean, new offense and new offensive coordinator coming into New York. We just talked about how that's not usually a great thing for wide receivers. So that's another guy. Yeah, I kind of wish, that I'd have a little bit more Garrett, because I have no Garrett Wilson.
I have no Garrett Wilson either.
But I'd like to get him at least in a couple of spots. Just, the whole FOMO pick, just get him somewhere.
Right.
All right, let's move to Los Angeles, a team that is trying to win a Super Bowl this year. Came kind of close to getting to the Super Bowl last year, ultimately fell short to their division rival, the Seattle Seahawks. Let's talk about the Rams. And I noticed on your teams, Terrence Ferguson, Colby Parkinson, the top two tight ends right now with Los Angeles. Obviously, Tyler Higbee, a free agent, but Ferguson and Parkinson are the top two guys there. We know how much the Rams used tight ends last year. Matthew Stafford also finds himself on a good handful of your rosters here, Frank. Can you tell us a little bit about, I don't want to say why you're loading up, but why Ferguson, Parkinson, and Stafford have kind of become staples of a lot of your squad so far?
Well, this goes back. I'm a Ram fan, so let me put it out there. I thought Stafford was phenomenal last year. McVay, a very good offensive coach. I think Higbee's gone, or, I think his contract's out. Parkinson was really good. Now, I've read some things on my Ram feeds that I get that he might be a cap casualty because he's a $9 million player. But I think he thrived last year, so I have no problem. Ferguson was inactive a few games early in the year, but they seem to like him. In this FFPC tight end premium, give me a few Fergusons. I've got more than a few, but he's kind of a beast. He's physical. He's tall. He runs down the field. Stafford likes to throw to him down the field, kind of these wheel routes out of the backfield. And the Rams played an enormous amount of 3 tight end, 2 tight end looks last year. So that's why I'm drafting them. I think those are the 2 tight ends that are going to play. I think Higbee's probably, was hurt last year and didn't play half the year. So I think he's probably out of the mix. That's why I'm doing that. And I think Stafford was, they're talking about loading up to give Stafford one more chance. Stafford, he had 40-some touchdowns last year. Everybody's coming back. Puka's coming back. Kyron's coming back. Devontae Adams was like a 1-yard touchdown pass was automatic. Blake Corum's another year. Ferguson's another year. I think the Rams offense is going to be great. And, there's some mock drafts. I have them drafting a wide receiver, the Lemon kid out of USC. I'm all in on the Rams. I still can't believe we lost to the Sea Chickens.
That defense is pretty good. It was pretty.
They weren't good against us.
That's true. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, week 16 we had some fluke 2-point conversion, and in the playoff game we botched the time management right before the first half ended. We have the ball. We're leading 13-10, 1st and 10 with 90 seconds left. Somehow we punt it and allowed Jackson Smith and Njigba to catch a touchdown right before half, and then we're losing, and the guy drops the punt, and I'm still bitter if you can't tell.
Yeah, no, I'm just like Frank Nunes, High-Stakes Lowdown. Come for the fantasy takes, stay for the angry Rams.
It's good. This one's going to take me a while.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
You know, as long as you brought up Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, let's just briefly talk about that because we saw Corum really eating into the workload of Williams. Do you think that continues this year, or do you think it stagnates where what we saw last year, that's sort of what it's going to be, where Williams he'll cede some work to Corum, but he's not going to cede much more to it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the same unless one guy gets hurt. And if one guy gets hurt, then it's going to be a bonanza. I mean, they drafted the other guy, the Jarquez Hunter or something. He didn't even play. I think he's like the only draft pick that didn't get one carry or, in the top 4 rounds or 5 rounds of running backs. He didn't even get one carry, which was crazy. Now, Kyron didn't play very much his rookie year either. So some people say the Rams kind of redshirt their rookie running backs. Corum didn't play very much his rookie year. I have no Jarquez Hunter. I think there's two mouths, 2 spoons on that pot. So that's enough there. So, yeah.
I remember like everybody was talking up Jarquez Hunter at rookie draft time last year. Like everybody is super excited about Hunter. And then it's just like people were dropping him left and right halfway through the season because he could get on the field. Last Rams question, Frank. Ferguson and Parkinson are basically going, I don't want to say back to back, but basically the same spot. 1503 for Ferguson, 1508 for Parkinson, tight end 26 and tight end 28 respectively. Do you have a dog in that fight? I know you have a bunch of both, but if you're only picking one, who do you think it would be for you if you could only have one of them?
That's tough, but I'd say maybe Ferguson because until Parkinson stays, I mean, I've heard he might be a cap casualty and all that stuff like that, but I would just say Ferguson right now. But a lot of times if I'm drafting, like say I'm on a turn, like I'm pick 1, 2, or 3 or 10, 11, 12, sometimes I pick one and try to get the other one on the way back just to cover my deal. And I think they're both good. I mean, they were both fine. I mean, maybe not my tight end 1 and 2, but maybe tight end 2 and 3 in a draft. Sign me up for both the Rams.
Yeah, especially if you go with one of the elite guys early, Bauer, McBride, or Loveland, or anything like that, and then you don't take another tight end until the 15th round, and then you grab those 2 Rams back to back. I mean, their quarterback did throw 40+ touchdowns last year. There is a lot to like about that situation there. All right, Frank, one final question here before we let you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. We talked about a lot of your targets. Is there one that maybe we haven't talked about, a player that you are targeting a lot in these Never-Too-Early best ball tournaments, and then a player that you are avoiding like death in the FFPC Never-Too-Early best ball tournament right now?
I mean, I'm not drafting I have 0 Tyreeks. I think Tyreek Hill's done, but that's later. I don't have very many, like Garrett Wilson's was a name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I have a lot of Parker Washington. Who else do I have? I have, a lot of Ramondre.
Yeah,
talked about him.
Manon guy for sure.
Yeah, Manon guy. I have him. Stafford is like I draft a lot of him because I mean he was going before he said he was coming back. He was going like quarterback 18 or 19. Now he's up to like 14 or 15. But I mean, 40 touchdowns as a quarterback. I mean, sign me up for Stafford. I mean, I've kind of told myself this year, the 2nd or 3rd round, I'm drafting Josh Allen instead of taking a chance on a Garrett Wilson. I mean, I'm tired of getting burnt by Garrett Wilson or some.
We all are.
Some 3rd round running back that might play. I mean, last year I drafted Trevion Henderson in the 3rd round. I mean, give me Josh Allen this early, and maybe later on in August or July or early September I'll change that philosophy. But right now, sign me up. Give me a lot of Josh Allen.
Is there, Frank? Is there one player in the first round? Because I know you draft all over the place, but is there one player where it gets to you in the first round? You're like, boy, this is not a player I want to be in business with. Maybe not because you don't like him, but because you like the players that are going around him a lot better. Has there been a player that you're just kind of like, you just feel yourself passing on over and over again? It doesn't have to be the first round. It could be the first few rounds too.
Yeah, I'm looking at a draft right now, and I'm not drafting as Rashid Rice.
Because of the off-field stuff?
The off-field stuff, and he started out pretty good, and then towards the end, and Mahomes is coming off an injury, and I think, now they're going back to Bieniemy as the OC, and I'm just kind of staying away from him. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, they obviously, is Kelsey coming back? I mean, they have Worthy. You hear now they're enamored with Jeremiah Love. I mean, it just didn't work in Kansas City last year. And the whole off-field stuff, no thanks on Rashid Rice. That's like a third-round pick.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of A.J. Brown right now because I don't know where he's going to be. Breece Hall's another guy. Those guys. I mean, the first round is pretty much – I think they're all okay so far. I mean, maybe I don't have any Bowers because, that's a new coach there. What's that? How's that's all going to – with a rookie quarterback? He's very, very good, though. I mean, especially tied in premium. I mean, I draft him second, but where he gets drafted, I kind of, maybe draft a CeeDee Lamb instead or an Ashton Genty, which that defeats what I just said because there's a new coach there, same team. Yeah. But, yeah.
Let me ask you the final question for you. Let me ask you your opinion on Trey McBride. And it's weird because I'm so down. I feel like I'm down on McBride more so than anybody that I've talked to this year. And here's why. This is a guy that was allergic to the end zone, essentially, in college and in the pros until last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think his career high in touchdowns was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Last year he had like 12 or 13 or whatever it was. And he is going, and it's not necessarily I think he's going to have a solid season. But if you want McBride in the FFPC, he is the first tight end off the board.
Sure.
You have to take him at the 107, the 108 or whatever. And then when you consider that they have a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, they're probably going to have a new quarterback there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's regression coming from McBride. I just feel like if there's one player in the first round and I think all those guys that we mentioned in the top 12, they're all going to have good years. I just think the one that sticks out to me is McBride. I just feel like people are drafting him again at his ceiling there. And to me, he's an easy fade in the first round because I just think that it's just going to be too tough for him to do what he did last year or even come close to what he did last year. I think that's going to be too tough for him given the situation he'll be in.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I mean, if you sign me up, if you give me Trey McBride with Jacoby Brissett, I'm all in. If you give me Jerry Jeudy with Jameis Winston, I'm all in. But somehow, Jeudy has never, ever been any good without Jameis Winston. McBride's been good, but like you said, the touchdown deal, I don't know. I mean, Arizona, they got a Rams coach there, a LaFleur, an offensive guy. So I guess I maybe lean they're going to be okay. He saw how the Rams used the tight end. I don't know. Marvin Harrison is another guy I don't draft this year. I don't know. I really wonder what Arizona's going to do at quarterback.
Yeah, I do too.
I wonder what they're going to do. I mean,
we're added to the list of offenses we're watching once free agency starts next week. It's going to be fascinating.
Is Tua going to be there, or is Flacco, or there's
Cousins,
or does he go get Garoppolo? He's a Rams guy, Ram backup. He knows the offense. Hey, come play with me, and maybe we figure it out. Yeah. I hope, if I have McBride in a dynasty league and he was my guy last year, sign me up. I hope Brissett's there, but I don't know. They didn't, he was, I don't know how you could go with Brissett. They didn't win any games with him, but they, fantasy wise, Michael Wilson and McBride were phenomenal.
I think I'm with 400-pound gorillas chiming in on the chat about Brissett. I love to see him there again this year. But if that defense is better, and Gannon, if I remember correctly, Jonathan Gannon was a defensive guy.
Yeah.
And so if the defense somehow gets better this year and they're not starting off every game down 14-0 or 17-0, I do wonder if those inflated – Arizona was setting records for how much they passed the ball last year. There's got to be regression coming there. Maybe there's not, but I believe that there's got to be. It's going to be fascinating.
What do you think of Marvin Harrison?
I not much.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you this right now, because we have to talk about this in terms of ADP. Marvin Harrison, I think I've drafted once so far this year. He's wide receiver 33 at the 702 right now. That's behind Watson and Metcalf. It is ahead of Mekhi Lemon and Ricky Pearsall. I am of the belief that there's talent there, and I'm willing to take a shot here and there on him. But my expectations for Harrison have never been lower, Frank.
Yeah, I agree with you. Another guy I don't like is you just mentioned Pearsall.
You don't like Pearsall because the injury issues or what?
When he played last year, there were some games with 1 catch. Now I don't know. at least Kendrick Bourne had 2 games where he was phenomenal.
Right.
I mean, Pearsall, I think, had 1 game where he was good. And you look around, like there was a stretch where Kittle wasn't playing, Bourne wasn't playing. I mean, at the end of the year, I think I'd rather started DeMarcus Robinson than Pearsall.
And Pearsall,
I remember watching a Sunday night football game, or he wasn't playing a game, and I think it was a Sunday night football game, and Collinsworth kept telling me how it was the Seattle game where it was 9-3 or whatever that game.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They couldn't score. And Collinsworth kept telling me how much the 49ers were missing Pearsall. And I was like, they're not missing him. He doesn't even play. I mean, he doesn't catch the ball. And then the playoff game, Pearsall played, and it was the same result. They couldn't score a touchdown. So I don't know. I mean, Pearsall's another guy. No, thank you at this time.
Yeah, and he's steaming up. There's people. There's a lot of people that believe in him, and maybe it works out. I don't know. I mean, Kittle might miss some time. We know Ayuk is gone, and McCaffrey's another year older. Jawan Jennings is a free agent. Like the planets are aligning for a Pearsall season. If he doesn't do it this year, I think. I mean, I've been drafting Songus, the tight end, because I think Kittle's going to miss some time. Kittle plays rough and violent and crashes and hits people and misses a game for injury. Plus, he's coming off a huge injury. So, I mean, I thought Songus was good. So, I mean, I'm drafting him as like a 4th tight end or a 3rd tight end. If I don't get Parkinson, then maybe I draft Songus. Yeah, and you know you're going to get production from him because Kittle will miss time. And maybe Kittle's just not right all season.
Yeah, maybe he's not right.
Songus becomes this great draft pick, you know. So, so it's just the world of best ball that we're living in. Yep. And we got a chance to visit with Frank Nunes, the 6th place finisher in the 2024 Never-Too-Early Best Ball Tournament. I know you have your sights set on that $40,000 grand prize this year, Frank. Thank you so much, number one, for your early patronage of the FFPC. We appreciate that. No problem. And thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight and letting me pick your brain and letting the viewers, get the insight that you're providing on how you're drafting teams, why you're targeting and fading certain players. I think it all helps us become better drafters. Good luck this year. Hopefully the ball bounces your way, and I will talk with you again soon, man. Sure. Thanks, Balky. Anytime. Absolutely. That is Frank Nunes, ladies and gentlemen, the 6th place finisher, 2024 FFPC Never-Too-Early Best Ball Tournament, won dozens of FFPC leagues over the years, both redraft and best ball. Great to hang out with him tonight. And oh, by the way, I'll give him a shout out on X. Frank New 786-44876. I'll throw it up on this. Oh, you know what? He just had it up on the screen. So you guys already saw it, but that's where you can connect with Frank on X. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that will complete our show tonight. I'm going to tell you what's going on with the rest of the week here, but I do want to remind you that you can pick up FFPC Dynasty and Empire Dynasty Orphans for as little as $1 right now. We just listed a ton more of them today, starting at $77, going up to $5,000 as far as the league entry fees go. But you can get some of these, like I said, for as little as $1. So if you want to play fantasy football year round, that is the place to do it. FFPC Dynasty, myffpc.com/dynasty for sale. Talked a lot about the Never-Too-Early Best Ball Tournament, the Never-Too-Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament tonight. Sign up for those at myffpc.com. $125 to enter the original, $35 to enter the Superflex, and a $40,000 and $10,000 grand prizes, respectively, in those tournaments. The Big Gorilla going on $350 to enter $1 million grand prize. Plus, if you are one of the first 200 leagues, which we're still filling, you are automatically entered into the early Rampage tournament, which is going to cut off after we filled the 200th Big Gorilla League, $25,000 grand prize for those select few that are playing in that. And the 7 Bananas promo is live too. You keep getting that 7 pick multiple times in a row, we're going to keep throwing free FFPC teams at you. Don't forget about the Baby Gorilla, $125 entry into that $100,000 grand prize tonight, this year as well. As far as the shows the rest of the week, we are on our new schedule, ladies and gentlemen. High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. In case you missed our big announcement on Friday, we are moving from 10 p.m. Fridays to 10 p.m. Wednesdays. That is year-round. We will be debuting on Wednesday night in our official time slot. We've done shows at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays before, but now this is the norm. This is the regular. And Paul Brenton, a winner of 8, count them 8, FFPC Dynasty Leagues last year alone, will join us live. He's across the pond, as the kids say. So it'll be very, very early in the morning for him. But it'll be a great show tomorrow night for the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Thursday night, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time is FFPC Insider Access. Heavy rookie show as Michael Moore from Dynasty League Football will join us. We'll talk about Dynasty veteran values, but a lot of rookie stuff with Michael Moore coming up this Thursday. That's on Insider Access from 7 to 9. And then Friday night at 10 p.m., we'll still have a show for you. It will be recorded, but you'll still get some fresh content from the FFPC. It is our HSFF Hour spinoff podcast called Extra Reps. It'll be myself, Farrell Elliott, and maybe some other people joining us on the show. It'll only be a half hour, but we'll get everything we can't get to on Wednesday night. I promise you we will get to you on Friday night for Extra Reps. That is your schedule this week for the FFPC family of podcasts. Want to remind everybody to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, get notified each and every time we go live by clicking that bell in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us here on Tuesday night. The next episode we have of the RotoViz High-Stakes Lowdown. Remember, we are monthly until the start of the NFL season. We will be back at it April 7th, and booking a guest for that right now. As soon as I know who it is and I get confirmation from him, I will let you guys know who it's going to be. Should be a fun one if we can get who I want to get on that show. That's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to complete our episode tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, streaming, listening, downloading, viewing. For Frank Nunes, I'm Eric Balkman. This has been the RotoViz High-Stakes Lowdown.
Thank you for listening to the High Stakes Lowdown, a RotoViz podcast brought to you by the Fantasy Football Players Championship. And thanks to Grapes for our theme music. Please review the podcast on Apple Podcasts under the RotoViz radio feed. It helps us find new listeners. Contact us via email at rotovizradio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think, and connect with us on X at RotoVizRadio. Remember, you can always support the show by subscribing to RotoViz at a 10% discount using the code RVRadio2025. That's RVRADIO2025 through the NFL Podcast homepage at rotoviz.com/podcast.